Since 2003, this is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
The Sports Source is presented by Junk Be Gone, Pipe Wrench, and the Garza Law Firm.
The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Junk Be Gone studios for today's Father's Day edition of the Sports Source. I'm saying Father's Day right off the bat because a couple of weeks ago, or I guess a month ago, I forgot to say Mother's Day right off the bat for the first time in 22 years of doing this. So today, happy Father's Day and a belated happy Mother's Day. We've got a big show for you today. We've got football, basketball, baseball, and softball all covered, and minimal coverage of court cases. So that's a step in the right direction for UT Athletics. We'll also, and we'll start with this, we'll talk Iamaleava, Aguilar. Let's look inside the numbers. What was Aguilar asked to do? What was Iamaleava asked to do? Are there places where you go, ooh, this doesn't look good? And are there other places that make up for the spots? There's a hint. I think you can figure out the answer. Let's get into today's show. First segment brought to you by the Garza Law Firm. No matter where you are across East Tennessee, if you're hearing this ad, Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm are ready to help you through your legal issue. From East Tennessee, protecting East Tennessee, that's Marcos Garza. And that's the Garza Law Firm. GarzaLaw.com is where you can learn more. Can't say enough about Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm. All right, let's welcome in our panelists for the day. This isn't the first wave. We don't have anybody else waiting in the wings. It's an old school show. We've got four people, and they're stuck beside me. You can't get away. Right over here, Vince Ferrara. Right over here, Tyler Ivins. Will West right here. All these guys on 99.1 The Sports Animal. Bob Hodge right there, who tomorrow will be on 99.1 The Sports Animal with these two. So it's kind of a 99.1 The Sports Animal kind of day here. Thanks to everybody for joining us. I wanted to start today by taking a look, as I said, at Nico Iamaleava, gone, Joey Aguilar in. I know, just save the emails. I know we're going to get them that nobody says it can't be Jake Merklinger. Yeah, that's correct. There will be a competition. Everyone I've talked to thinks that it's going to be a competition with Aguilar in the lead. So I think he's going to have to do some bad work to lose the gig, but we'll see. I'm all for a straight-up competition. But I know you also paid this guy to come in from California. You didn't do that for no reason. So for today, we're looking at Iamaleava and Aguilar. Doesn't mean he'll be the starter in the fall. Got it. No need to email me. Here's the question. When we look at Pro Football Focus numbers and compare some of these things, was he asked to do what Nico was asked to do? How does he differ from Nico? Where are they the same? Let's take a look. We got three different charts here I want to show you. Let's put up the first one. This takes a look at both guys when they are pressured and their average time to throw. All right, so Nico had 2.56. We all know he was under some duress last year. Didn't have some great tackle play last year. Joey Aguilar had even less time to throw at App State. Now, Nico and the offensive line here were going against SEC competition. So it says something that App State did that against Sunbelt competition. He did not have a lot of time. Now, you look at their percentage completions in a clean pocket, Nico was better, 71% to 66%. The one thing we don't know, how many of these balls were dropped. Tennessee had a lot of drops last year. I'm assuming App State did as well. Under pressure, obviously it's the flip side of the other one, but when they are pressured, Nico completed more passes than Aguilar did. Not blitzed, okay? Meaning when he was not blitzed by the opponent's defense. That came out fighting. All right. So when not blitzed, Nico 67% completions, Aguilar 62%. So when you pressure him, Aguilar's a little worse. When you blitz him, he's a little worse than Nico was. Clean pocket TD to interception ratio. 18 TDs to 3 interceptions for Nico. 19 to 9 with a clean pocket. It's not, he's running for his life. No, he had 9 interceptions with a clean pocket.
6 to 1, 3 to 1.
Yeah, and then under pressure, TD interception ratio 1 to 2. I mean, Nico didn't throw many interceptions, but he also, under pressure, he threw 1 touchdown pass all year. Aguilar threw 4 touchdown passes, but 5 more interceptions. Okay, we'll come back to us and respond. Anything stand out to you there?
Nico being risk averse. That's something that we saw with the eye test, and I think those numbers back that up. And then also Aguilar with the clean pocket. He has trust in his arm, and he's kind of a gunslinger, and that's the way he's been described by analysts that have called his games. He just kind of lets it loose and has belief that he can make all the throws, so those numbers really show that.
Okay.
Dangerous Joey Aguilar. That's what he does. He holds on to the football to the last second. Blitz is coming. He'll eat somebody in the face mask, and if he sees somebody, sometimes a linebacker steps in front of a pass. Other times, they're breaking a tackle going 40 yards the other way for a touchdown. You're seeing it inside the numbers, even whenever he has somebody, even if he doesn't have the check down. Joey Aguilar is going to take some licks, but he's going to make sure that the ball gets put in the air and you've got a 50-50 shot. The gunslinger, dangerous mentality, that's what he's known for from his Sun Belt days at App State.
A lot of it, too, though, is he doesn't have a ton of arm strength, and especially on those outside throws. And if you go back and watch his games, he will throw some of those Garantano Kentucky throws. He throws some of those. You know what I mean? Like he does. There are times, watch Georgia State game was one where he throws an interception that, again, Jeremy Pruitt would have been proud of. You know, like his arm is not incredibly strong, but he gets the ball out very quickly. He trusts his arm at times, and maybe he shouldn't. Some of the routes where he threw picks, though, Heupel doesn't do that. So I don't think you have to worry about it as much here.
I really worry about the number of clean pocket interceptions, because you can read several different things into that. Yeah, he trusts his arms and he's going into the top window, or does he know what he's looking at? So that number, of all the numbers that you've thrown out, that's the one that jumps out to me, is clean pocket interceptions. That is not a good number.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've talked to analysts that have called his games. They say he has a strong arm. He doesn't have a Joe Milton arm. Maybe he doesn't have the Nico arm talent, but he still has an arm. They've said to make all the throws. So if he's throwing it to the other team, it might be more what Bob was talking about, not knowing what he's seeing.
Well, we've got a stat coming up, not yet, but we've got a stat coming up where we'll talk about depth of target, and we'll discuss. I mean, you can look at different NFL quarterbacks and see that
sure.
You can make those deep. I mean, Peyton Manning's arm was never the strongest in the league. You saw some wobble to the spiral.
Drew Brees.
Completed that's right. Completed a whole. They're both in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
So you can it's strong enough. You don't want to be Danny Werfel, where unless your receiver's got 5 yards of clear space around him, it's going to be picked. So it's a difference between strong and strong enough. One thing you mentioned, risk averse. Risk averse is another man's take care of the football. Right. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. So we're going to find out with Joey in this offense, because we've pointed out Josh Heupel has never had a quarterback in his history throw for double-digit interceptions. I think the system is going to protect Aguilar a little bit. How much, I don't know.
Do you remember those plays, Joe Milton against Ole Miss, when everybody was throwing stuff on the football field? What did he do? He ran out of bounds and didn't put the ball in the end zone. Nico against Arkansas last year ran out of bounds, didn't put it in the end zone. I can guarantee you, Joey Aguilar, there will never be an opportunity he doesn't leave it out on the field. What I mean is, I'm about to get hit, jump ball, somebody go get it. That's dangerous, Joey.
Well, if he does, though, that becomes kind of a Tennessee tradition, doesn't it?
That's right. Let's take a look at the next chart. All right, this is past concepts, and granted, these are pretty simple concepts. All this information, by the way, from Pro Football Focus. I didn't sit there and grade all the film myself. Play action percentage. Nico Iamaleava last year, when it was play action, 57% completion. Joey Aguilar, 36% completion. All right, when it's no play action, 42% completion percentage for Nico. Interesting, he needed the play action. Joey did not. Better when it wasn't play action. Screens. 15% of the time. Now, I'm sorry. This isn't the completion percentage. That's the percentage of plays they ran with them, not the completion percentage. Okay. 57% were Nico Iamaleava, 42%. Down there at screen percentage, only 15% screens last year for Nico. Only 8% for Joey Aguilar. Not a lot. 91% of the time they weren't running a screen at App State. Okay. Play action TD interception rate. This shows their success rate. When it was play action, 16-3, 13-4, both good. When it wasn't play action, 3-2, 10-10. So it's the same, just a lot more because they didn't have a lot of. The no play action was 63% there at App State, so 10-10 he threw more, but they were both 1-1 in terms of their interception ratio. Screen pass TDs, 2 for Nico, none for Aguilar. All right, so you don't see much in this in terms of what they ask him to do. It is a little different. I mean, in terms of, I've heard people say, well, it's tempo, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. It's different routes. Yeah. It's different concepts a little bit. We'll see how much that adjusts. Does he make Aguilar throw more screens in this offense? I would assume so. Everybody else has thrown those outside quick screens. Thoughts?
What this does is it confirms to me what I've heard about Joey Aguilar is the fact that what he sees pre-snap from the defense and what they change to after the snap, that sometimes he has a bad time reading defenses when he's on the other side of the ball. Yeah. That's what that shows me is we don't need to run play action. Here's what we're showing you. Ball a snap. Let's see if you pick up what we just changed. And he throws into a no-no way.
That's just what I was going to say. I mean, that 10 to 10, I mean, that goes back to what I said earlier. Not that I know, but those numbers point to you have a problem with what you're seeing, and do you understand what you're seeing?
The exact quote I was told
do you miss something is part of it. He gets the ball up fast, like super fast. And if you miss something, you're in trouble. Or they show blitz dropping a coverage. Yeah. You're in trouble on that one. There is I got 6 or 8 games of it. He threw an interception they're doing the out and dig combo on one side. He tries to throw the out. He doesn't have the arm for it. You know what I mean? He just can't get the ball fast enough, and he gets picked off. You know what I mean?
You know, don't leave the receivers out of this. Yeah. Because maybe some of those, he saw the right thing.
Or the guy ran a deeper route than he's supposed to.
His receiver didn't do the route correctly. So it might not all be on him.
Well, you had the same thing with Nico, though. That goes the other way, too. I've seen there have been some good pass breakdowns. There were some good video breakdowns on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And if we had the rights to the video, we'd do it. I don't know how some other people have the rights, but God bless them. They haven't been sued yet. But there are times where you're sitting there and you're looking and everybody talks about, well, Nico couldn't process. And then you see the all-22. It's like, what's he supposed to throw to?
Yeah.
There's no one else. It's 3 guys running deep routes. What's he supposed to do here? So the receivers are a part of this, and we don't see that in the numbers.
The first thing that jumped out to me was I wondered how much they actually did the play action. So how much of a sample size was that? Then you look at the touchdown and interception, the numbers are there. So they did it some to where at least there's a sample size. Another thing is the play action may not work as well at App State because they didn't have a Dylan Sampson to be the running threat. So that could have impacted them from a play action standpoint.
All right, let's look at the last chart, and hopefully I won't stumble through this one because this one was the main one. This is their depth of target numbers, okay? So what you see here is that's 12 different zones for each guy, all right, where they threw. So the closest one, those are passes behind the line of scrimmage, okay? Then you got 0 to 10, left, right, center. 10 to 20, left, right, center. And then beyond 20 yards, okay, is the downfield stuff. The stars is where the quarterback had a 100 or higher quarterback rating. That's an NFL quarterback rating, but still for our purposes, what it shows you is Nico had 5 of those zones where he was over 100. Joey Aguilar only had 3. However, look at those 2 orange stars. Deep right, deep left. If you needed to make up something in this offense, is that not it?
Yes.
Is that not what you've been missing? Mm-hmm. Now, we'll see what happens with the receivers. You can see their deep target numbers down below, 32% completions for Nico, 36. And we saw Nico, so we know a lot of those were drops as well. Now, he had some overthrows, no question, but a lot of drops as well. In terms of TDs to interceptions, about the same. But I do look at those deep outside numbers, and that gets back to is his arm strong enough to make the throw? You know, that's 20, not 50, but still, that would look to me to be, if you're sitting there saying, I don't know if these are positives on these other charts, to me that looks like a positive because that's kind of what you need in this offense.
But one of the things he does in those deep throws, if you watch him, he throws the ball up and lets a guy make a play. And that's something I thought Nico never would do. And I don't know if he didn't process it fast enough,
or
he didn't
risk-averse,
or risk-averse, or whatever it might be. Aguilar will, and I thought in this offense it ran the best I've ever seen with Dylan Gabriel. And that's something Dylan Gabriel did, is he put the ball up, let a guy make a play for him. And I think Chris Brazel's he's built for that. Brew McCoy was built for that. But Nico never did it. And part of that might have been, hey, we run the football, we win with defense, don't make a mistake. But I think Joey Aguilar, he's going to make mistakes. There's also the sheer amount of more volume of passes he threw is incredible. But it does show you that Nico had his places where he felt more comfortable throwing the ball, and places
in terms of
right where he did not.
In terms of, let me grab your numbers here. In terms of those deep targets, 77 of those passes, 20 yards or more, 50 for Nico.
Yeah.
So two to almost another half on top of that.
This is a perfect segment to sum up because I read comment sections. People will text our show. What does Ivans mean by dangerous Joey Aguilar? He keeps saying that. That they kept referring to that both in a positive and a negative. You already saw the negative side, what he'll do with the clean pocket, but then you see these numbers, him going deep. In a second, he can snap his finger and you're back on the board, punch for punch, like the Bama game. Yeah. You score a touchdown, we can throw a touchdown too. It's just, it is very much that yin and yang, oil and water with Joey Aguilar. I've been told the only thing that not only, but the top thing he needs is his pre-snap reading of the defense. If he can clean that up, then maybe with Heupel's system, we'll see a significant drop back on those interceptions and turnovers.
It's the volume of throws down the field, the 20 plus as you outlined, 77 to 50. The yards, over 1,000 yards, 1,033 to 630 for Nico. So those are big time numbers. Mm-hmm. Those are cashing in with 6. And then another thing.
What you've missed in this up, those deep balls of 30 yards or more have gone away. You went from, 40 down to 18?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that we've talked about the deep ball, and that is absolutely necessary to get back in this offense. But if you look at the volume up the middle of the field, there were not enough attempts in the middle of the field. Every single one of those categories in the yard breakdowns, Aguilar had more attempts. There was either a trust factor or a willingness to throw. Yeah. So if they can have that added to the offense while not multiplying and adding a bunch of turnovers, then that can help this offense a lot too.
Wrap it, Bob.
If you go back and look at Nico last year, when he threw an interception, it was normally to the middle of the field. So does that go to Nico's mindset, I don't want to throw here because that's where I have problems? Or does it go to the coach's mindset, don't throw there because that's where you have problems? And I wonder, my concerns, and we've talked about a little bit about, is Aguilar's problem reading the defense? Well, the one thing, and it's been brought up, this offense takes a lot of that out. That's some of the negatives you hear from people talking
NFL.
About players coming out of this offense. It's much simpler. So maybe that helps him greater than it would if you put him back into what he was running.
How's that for a 17-minute opening segment? Supposed to be 13, so we're going to make up the other 4 somewhere along the line. When we come back on the Sports Source, how good will Tennessee's defensive line be this year? We lost some players to the NFL, but how good will they be without those? All right, that's the next discussion. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by AG Hines Company. Gordon, Anna, Jacob, Alex. That's the names of the Hines family that work down at Hines Street at AG Hines Company. You might as well get to know them because once you walk in the door, they're going to treat you like family. That's what they do. And it is a spectacular place to buy your building materials, to buy your tools. If you are starting a home improvement project, you are crazy if you start it somewhere else. Get down to AG Hines Company in downtown Knoxville and see them this week. They will help you get your project done the right way for the right price. aghines.com to learn more. All right. I think most people assume the Vol defensive line will be good again this year, despite the loss of James Pierce and Omar Norman-Lott to the NFL. I'm one of those giving them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know that they'll be as good as they were last year, but when I look at what Tim Banks has done so far, especially Rodney Garner, what he's done, you look at the amount of playing time some of those guys who are stepping forward this year got last year in that rotation. I feel pretty good about the defensive line, but I don't know how good they're going to be. And I asked this, Pro Football Focus, I went PFF crazy this week, and I know that some people look at their grading system and say they stink. Other people look and say, oh, no, they're pretty good. I look at it and say, it's something to talk about. So they rank defensive line, they ranked the college football defensive lines across the country. Tennessee not in the top 10. Okay. Do you think Tennessee's defensive line is going to be national level good this year? Because they were last year. Will they be national ranking kind of good? Will we be looking back at the end of the year saying, they're top 10 in the nation, top 15 in the nation? Or have they taken too much of a step back? Vince Ferrara.
I do think they will be a top 10. Maybe the back end of the top 10. I don't know if they'll be number 1 because of some of those losses. But their starting 4 is going to be pretty good. Jackson Moy and Bryson Eason in the middle, they play a ton of football. And Dominic Bailey at that strong side defensive end. Joshua Josephs is now more snaps as your edge, your Leo. And they still have a ton of guys that have played some snaps that have potential that Everyone else in those positions has been developed at the University of Tennessee, so you have to give them the benefit of the doubt of them taking that next step. Marion Hobby's coming in now to add to that coaching room. I think they have at least 4 potential NFL draft picks for next year. Like, I'd add Tyree West in there because, he's not an every down guy.
He had a good year last year. Yeah.
Omar Norman-Lott didn't play every down. He was a rotational guy. So Eason, Bailey, I really like. And then you have David Hobbs, a 5-star that I think could take that next step. I think they still are going to be very, very good.
Top 10, top 15, I'm on the same page with Vince. I am buying as much stock as I can into Joshua Josephs. I personally believe people talking close to him about what his work ethic is and what he's looking for. He wants his name. He wants to be in the green room in Pittsburgh next spring. He wants to be able to be a part of that.
I am not there. I'm going to disagree with those guys. I think Tennessee will be nationally good, but not top 10. Top 10's elite. I don't know that they have the depth to be elite right now. I think that and that's part of it, is I think right now it's hard to have a lot of depth with NIL and all of those things, but there are going to be 10 defensive lines that have 2 tackles at each position. They could rotate 2-3 guys, and you're going to play fewer snaps. And I do wonder if Tennessee goes back to tempo, whatever level of tempo, how tired they're going to be without the depth that they have. So I'll say they're probably in that top 20, but I'm probably not in the top 10.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they will be top 10. And if you gave me the choice between Joseph or Pierce Jr. coming back for another year, I'd rather have Joseph. So I think when you've got 4 solid guys, and like I said, with potential NFL careers ahead of them, I think that should get you close to that top 10. I think, you make a great point, though. If the tempo comes back to the offense, you got less guys to rotate. But if you run the tempo you ran last year, they're going to get more rest. But I'm going to go ahead and say, they're going to be right there on the cusp of that top 10.
We saw a defensive lineman from Tennessee on Friday. Tyler and I came by one of the business we were at, and strength and conditioning programs getting the job done this summer.
Very, very
well.
It was Tyree West. Okay. He was. I mean, the level of weight his body has changed even from last year was shocking. So they're getting them ready to be able to play those level of downs.
The interesting thing for those who are saying, but you lost James Pierce. I looked it up recently. Somebody got mad because we did something on the Sports Source Digital Network where we talked about it, and he said, he didn't play that many snaps. So you're crazy, he didn't play a bunch of snaps. So I actually went back and looked. He ranked about 150th last year in the nation in terms of defensive linemen in snaps. He did not play a lot of snaps for a guy that went up there. Now, we don't have time. So you just have to eat it. My point, don't argue with me on this. He was low. I know they rotate people, et cetera. But the reason he was low was, or the fact that he was low tells me, you're not going to miss him all that often. If he only played that many snaps, it's not like you're losing an every down player in James Pierce. Ranked about
thought he went into the season overrated, and I thought he ended the season overrated.
But anyway, my point is, if you're sitting there going, but you lost James Pierce, played about 35% of the snaps anyway. Yeah. Same with Omar Norman-Lott. Now, they rotate these guys, but if you're sitting there going, we lost our guy. Well, your guy didn't play all that much in terms of that rotation. So I think that's one way to look at it. I'll get what Vince said here in between the breaks. We'll see what he said. If it's good, I'll let you know on the other side when we come back.
What a cliffhanger.
When we come back, Tennessee's receiving core. Where does it rank compared to some of these others in the SEC? Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by the River Cove Campground. If you want the nicest campground and RV park, then folks, this is the one to try. You're going to love it. First of all, they've got all the amenities. You can go find out for yourself at the website. I've read them over and over and over again the last couple of weeks. It's a long, lengthy list, but the photos help you out. The map shows you, my goodness, this place has everything. rivercovecampground.com. At Uncle Jim's River Cove Campground, the big key is you're right on the Little Pigeon River. Boom, right there. And you're within 10 minutes of every attraction you could possibly want to see, Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. rivercovecampground.com. Get up there, check them out, and if you can't make it up there to check them out, check out that website and book now. Book now. All right, we got a poll question. We haven't done this in a couple of weeks. I brought the poll questions back. Here's what we got. What are your expectations? We talked about him earlier. What are your expectations for Joey Aguilar? Your options. He'll be better than Nico. He'll be fine. He'll be worse than Nico, or How should I know? So that's kind of where I would go personally. How should I know? But better than Nico, he'll be fine. Worse than Nico. I've been surprised by the amount of blind faith people have put. I mean, the emails and stuff that you get, Joey Swags is going to be great and all this stuff. It's like
Joey Swags.
And I'm like, Joey Swags, huh? You didn't know his name 2 months ago, but now he's Joey Swags. Okay. So tell us what you think. You got to use the QR code right there beneath that Hearthside Bank logo. Use your smartphone, click it. It still says sportsource.tv/polls. Can't get there. That's why those were all zeros. Nobody could get there early today. We are rebuilding that to be the sportsourcedigitalnetwork.com, or .tv. So that'll be up soon enough. But right now, the only way to play is to play right there with your smartphone. Okay. Let's keep it with Pro Football Focus just for one more minute. This is going to be a quick segment. We don't expect Tennessee to rank in the top 10 with wide receiver corps. A lot of question marks there. Okay, maybe these guys are great, but on paper, it's unproven at best. But when I looked at the top 10 in terms of their rankings, number 2 Auburn, number 4 Ole Miss, number 5 Alabama, number 6 Georgia, number 7 LSU, number 8 Texas, number 9 Texas A&M. Bob, you've had a Biletnikoff Award winner here. You've had 2 guys drafted rather highly. Well, 3 if you count Dante Thornton.
Yep.
You've had a spectacular year in 2022, and you've still been a top 15 offense the last 2 years when most of us have been yawning. This should be a receiver's dream. We don't know what they're going to have this year, but we do know it is very unproven, a whole lot of question marks. My question is, with all that going for you, you should be receiver heaven. Why is Tennessee behind all these other SEC schools in terms of the receiving corps?
I think we could do an entire show on this. You said be quick. Okay, it's either recruiting, development, or your quarterback doesn't help your receivers a whole lot. And so I'm going to think the recruiting has been fine because it's not like you've been bringing in guys that nobody else wanted. Hey, they beat out Liberty for this fella.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say the recruiting has been good. So that leans into development and quarterback. And of those 2 things, I'm going to go a little bit quarterback because as we've talked about, if you had a risk-averse quarterback here last year, your receivers didn't get a chance to shine. Now they've dropped passes. It's not all on that. But I think developmentally, okay, it happened under different guys, but you took Tillman and Hyatt and made them into the Biletnikoff Award winner and a 3rd-round draft pick, both of them. You haven't done that with these other guys, but right now I'm going to say it's not recruiting, and I'm going to go with development, and your quarterback play has not helped them.
You had 3 guys, the 3 of your starters were hurt last year. Brew was hurt, Dante was hurt, and Squirrel White was hurt for good portions of the year, and they played through them. That didn't help things. I think the biggest issue, though, was that you lost most of your receivers heading into this season, so you replaced them with young guys who have caught 7 more balls than I have. It's going to be your top receiver. I also think you tried to do things that work when you're going at warp speed, and you did them at normal tempo, and it didn't work. And everybody, after Brent Venables saw you, came up with a defense to stop what you do, and you didn't adjust to it. So it's like you're just banging your head against a brick wall over and over again with injured receivers. And I think that's why Tennessee's behind them.
So you think it's a 1-year deal?
I think if they try to do the same thing again this year, it's not going to work. They have to adjust.
But I think it's a 2-year deal.
I think it's going to be a 3-year deal.
Stellar before.
I didn't think they were great under Milton either.
Yeah.
Right.
Milton's inaccuracy 2 years ago, risk-adverse Nico Iamaleava last year, didn't want to get too crazy. And this year, until we get to about October, in my opinion, or November, you're going to have a quarterback who had 101 days when he got on campus to try to build relationships and learn this playbook. I think it's a whole lot of what Will said and a whole lot of what Bob said.
I think you're just making excuses.
Probably.
Excuse. Vince.
I think it's a little bit of negative recruiting, although they've still been able to get some decent receivers in here. But, maybe you're not getting the right elite guys. That didn't happen in the portal. You only got 1 wide receiver there. And then the quarterbacks.
And that was a guy who hadn't really played.
Right. And then the quarterbacks is a part of the equation also. But a big factor is those guys don't make an impact until their 2nd year. So where does that point to? Is that development? Is that quarterbacks? That's still a problem.
I'm going development. Not that everything goes into development, but I think that has to be mentioned because here's the thing I've seen the last 2 years. Drops. Unbelievable amount of drops last year. We talked about when Nico overthrew everybody. Go watch those games. He overthrew a lot of people. He also hit a lot of people right here, and they couldn't catch them. I mean, there are guys who are. Chris Brazzell came in and was supposed to be spectacular, Pro Football Focus generously said 6 drops last year. You're going to be hard to find anybody with 6 drops on their Pro Football Focus card from last year. That's a lot for them, and I think there were more than 6. Maybe he turns it around. Jalen Hyatt did. Hope he's on the Hyatt program. But I see a lot of drops out there. Now, is that because you're not developing them? I don't know. I have to take that somewhere. And you can either say, well, we just got a lot of guys who can't catch, or put them in front of the gun and throw it more. Make them sit out there and field 100 more passes. That's a lot of drops on this team. So that has to be, I think development needs to put in there somewhere. But anyway, they do rank behind all these other schools when you would think with the veer and shoot system, the numbers they put up in 2022, Hyatt success as a Biletnikoff Award winner. It could just be a one-year thing. Well, you're not proven this year. Next year you will be top 10. But it stands out the last couple of years.
It takes 2 years in its offense. I mean, you look around the country, there was some freshman receivers last year who looked awfully good.
Alabama and Ohio State knew how to use them.
You know.
All right, when we come back, Josh Heupel's best season was aided by one major statistic. Did that inflate our view of his ceiling or not? We'll tell you what the stat is, and we'll debate that question next. Coming back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. The majority of summer is ahead of us. That means heat and most likely a whole lot of rain, just like we had in May. Together, that means mosquitoes. Do yourself a favor, have Southeast Termite and Pest Control provide mosquito treatments for your backyard so you don't spend your summer scratching skeeter bites. SoutheastTermite.com, Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Tyler, you and Chuck recently took a look at Tennessee's turnover stats for your action show on Sports Source Digital Network. Folks, you can find it. Go watch it. It's interesting. But one thing we noticed when doing that was Tennessee has finished no lower than 5th in turnover margin in the SEC since Josh Heupel has been here. And they've always said they need to be aggressive on defense. Tim Banks has lived up to it, and they've produced turnovers. Yes. In 2022, when they went 11-2 and won the Orange Bowl and flirted with the number one, they were number 1 for a week. The Vols were the best in the league at plus 11 turnover margin. Did those turnovers artificially inflate our view of Heupel's ceiling? Do we look at it and we go, wow, he can go to 11-2. Well, we got to keep in mind he was plus 11 in turnover that year.
It's an interesting question. I'm going to say no, because look, when you see a lot of players or a lot of teams that succeed that year, that's just one of the luxuries that come with it, being able to have more possessions than the opposition. When you talk about a total team effort, you could even talk about what special teams with the offense does. That particular year, if anything, it was a shining moment for one Tim Banks. If you want to talk about looking at this from a maximized conversation, I think you look at it from Tim Banks. That's where he got his most recent payday, was off that special season. We saw a lot of what Rodney Gardner was able to do, and some of the other players like Brian John Marie or other coaches like Brian John Marie. I'm not going to let that one season dictate what we believe as an artificial or inflated year. Josh Heupel's a great coach. What we've talked about on your show and our show before. Josh Heupel has exceeded the win total that has been set by Vegas every year since he's been in Knoxville. So, no, that was a great 1 year. It led you to a large season that had a lot of success, but I'm not going to say artificial 1 year. Expectations aren't real.
Okay, this is going to be a quick segment because we'll just catch up here. Anybody disagree with Tyler?
I agree with Tyler.
I disagree with the reasoning, but I agree with the premise.
Okay.
You throw a lot of screen passes and little things like that. You don't turn the ball over a lot. So I think you can replicate this if you get a quarterback that gets the ball to your hands, which is one of the reasons I'm bullish on that.
But it's the plus 11 on D. I mean, you're getting them, you're turning them over on the other side.
But if you're not turning it over a ton, you have a better chance of.
Well, yeah, you're going to be ranked high in the SEC. But he was fifth, fourth. At plus 3, plus 6, plus 11 is out there.
Yeah, and if you have a pass rush, that helps as well.
Yeah,
they needed it because they were giving up a ton of yards and a lot of points in some games because they had a lot of shootouts. But I do think it's part of winning.
I agree with Tyler. I wanted to put it out there. I think it's an interesting question. I don't think it gets discussed enough that your one special year of these three. I mean, you were good last year, 10-3 playoff, but your one special year, we were plus 11 turnovers. The reason I'm not buying into it that it overinflated anything is. You go show me a championship-level team, and I'm going to show you a team that's really good in turnover margin.
Heated seats. It was luxury.
And because you have years where the ball bounces your way.
That's right. Super Bowls, national titles, SEC titles. they're all going to be way up there in terms of turnover margin. So I don't think that grades against it at all. Okay, when we come back, we now have a good idea of Tennessee's kickoff times this fall. Love it or leave it on this schedule. Let's talk kickoff times and just how many night games you can have in total at Neyland Stadium this fall. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Boy, they have all the brands you could possibly want. Suncatcher pontoons, Hurricane deck boats, Skeeter bass boats, G3 for the outdoors. I mean, whatever you're looking for, whatever your need, they carry them all on one lot in one showroom at Madisonville Marine. I don't know how many people, if you've gone boat shopping in the past, you know that if you want this kind of boat, you go to this dealer. If you want that kind of boat, you go to that dealer. At Madisonville Marine, they got it all. It's like a buffet of boats. Madmarine.com to learn more, but get down there to Highway 411 North in beautiful, glorious Madisonville. We got a lot of family down there. Madisonville Marine. No better place to buy a boat. Hey, there is a better place. Come back to me. There is a better place to do a poll, and it's not there. And you know how I said you can't go and vote there with the website? There's supposed to be two ways to do it. You click the QR code, it takes you to a page where you just vote, or you can go to the poll. What it's doing is it's trying to take you to the website, which we are trying to fix. We're redoing it right now, so you can't vote. So I was sitting there thinking, boy, everyone hates this question. It's like, no, I apologize. Some of you are going, it won't let me in. My apologies. We'll get that. As soon as the new Sports Source website is back up and running, the polls will be back. My fault for putting that in there today and not thinking of it.
Me and you both, it's 100%. How should I know?
Yeah. How should I know? That's exactly where I would go. Okay. And thank you. You can take the poll out there. Let's take a look at the potential kickoff times for all of Tennessee's games this fall. The kickoff windows were announced by the SEC. All right, you got Syracuse, that's noon, right here on WATE, which means the Sports Source Saturday kickoff is your lead-in live to the season opener. East Tennessee State, that's 3:30 on ESPN+. Georgia, 3:30 right here on Channel 6. UAB, that's 12:45, SEC Network. Then you've got the windows could either be 3:30 to 4:30 or 6 to 8 on multiple channels. That's for Mississippi State, Alabama, Arkansas. Kentucky's a night game, 6 to 8, but that's at Lexington. Oklahoma's here, that's another 3:30 or 4:30, maybe 6 to 8. New Mexico State's 4:15 on SEC Network. Florida, 3:30 to 4:30 or 6 to 8, either of those windows on some network somewhere. Vanderbilt's 3:30 to 4:30, we don't know where yet. But here's the bottom line. You look up and down there, there's the potential for only 2 night games all year at Tennessee. It may be Arkansas. I mean, you could get a night game for Arkansas. You get a night game for Oklahoma. That's it. We asked this question a couple of weeks ago about the first 3 where people want more night games. Now you look at it, you may not have any. Now my assumption is you're probably going to have 2. But you could have none. Is that a disappointment for Vol fans?
I don't think so, because you don't have the early games. Like the key is, like there was a Dooley year, we had 5 early games here.
The 12
like 5-12
noon
window,
stuff?
12-12:30 window. That's awful. So I think whether it's 3:30 or
Not
it ends
if you
up
have-
being
not if you
6
have an
or it
11
ends up
o'clock.
being 7 or it ends up being 8, you're good with that?
When you have an
But for
11
the
o'clock
fans,
lead-in show, it's nothing wrong with
the
it.
fans, the economic impact that happens, tailgating, everything that happens around campus, the atmosphere for the game. To me, I think you'll get 4 or 5 maybe late games, but it might be
you
on
only get-
ESPN2, SEC Network, or
Well, there's
night
only 2 possible night games.
at
home in
number.
At home.
Oh, okay.
At home.
Yeah. But I think you'll get 4 or 5 night games total. It just might be the 6 o'clock ESPN.
But what I'm saying is for
or
people,
SEC
fans who love the light show, the fireworks, all that, Bob Hodge of the world, who are converted to love that stuff, you can get you can get between 0 and 2 this year.
And I love night games.
Is that a
I
disappointment?
hate watching them on television. I love them when I'm there.
Is it a disappointment?
Yes, I think it is. Now, businesses in downtown Knoxville don't like the 8
Probably
o'clock
better in the
kickoff,
afternoon,
so
yeah.
the businesses are going to be happy. But for me, I like going over there and everything you just mentioned, the light show, the fireworks, everything. So, yeah,
Cooler temperatures.
it's a little bit disappointing.
Although
for me.
once you're out of September, that's not an issue.
The tailgaters out there who saw that release this week and they sat there and went, especially the locals in Knoxville. Will, we brought it up. By the time you get to that Oklahoma game at the end of the season, they're going to wait to see where Oklahoma is record-wise and where Tennessee is record-wise. I'm going to cut you in the middle. I think there's a chance that they're guaranteed one. I think it's the Arkansas game, and you better hope Vols are doing very, very well in November so you can snag a second one against the Sooners.
Well, I mean, here's the thing with those night games, though. That could be you've got ESPN, ESPN2, ABC, SEC Network. There's a lot of night games going.
Right.
So, but okay, you say one. At max, it's two.
Yeah.
Local home games.
Knoxville,
I do think it's disappointing for fans. It's not the end of the world, but I do think, like Bob, fans want to experience that because it has a feel for big time.
Right.
And the one you want to get, if you're going to get just one, is Oklahoma, because I think that has a better chance to resonate nationally versus the Arkansas game.
Heupel storyline back again,
Yeah. So, okay.
And they'll be a better team.
Only potentially two night home games this year. Yeah, you could have home games. You could have night games at Starkville, night games at Alabama. You are going to have a night game at Kentucky. It could be a night game at Florida. But in terms of Knoxville, it's Arkansas and Oklahoma are the only two that are even possible.
I hope it's
at
2
this
and 2,
point.
but I have a feeling it's going to be 1.
All right, very good. When we come back, Zakai Ziegler lost round 1 of his fight for another year at Tennessee. Will he win eventually? What's next? That's next. We'll discuss it. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. The segment brought to you by Hearthside Bank. You're making plans to pay for a child's college. You're looking down the road toward retirement. You want a dream home that you get your eyes on, a boat maybe. Hearthside Bank has the team to help you build a smart plan, then work with you every step along the way to make you able to reach that financial goal. Make sure you can reach that financial goal. Visit hearthsidebank.com today. These folks have been such a big part of, they've gotten on board with this show. They are fully supportive of the Sports Source Digital Network. They're the ones behind it. And, that's over 500,000 views now, 26,000 watch hours. It goes up every week, obviously. Thanks to them. And, folks, I can't tell you enough good things about Hearthside Bank. It's one of those companies, we don't put them on the show if I don't believe in them. So when I say check them out, talk to them, they're very personal. It's a personal style of banking. I mean it. Hearthside Bank. Hearthsidebank.com to learn more. All right. Zakai Ziegler was denied a preliminary injunction in his court case asking for a 5th year of eligibility. This is where we go to Court TV. The judge said what the NCAA should do as a policy matter to benefit student athletes is beyond the reach of the Sherman Act. So she says, not her purview, it's not going to go there. The NCAA had argued that Ziegler got his chance to play at Tennessee because other players had 5 years to play 4 years and then they moved on. Okay, you should do the same and clear the path for others. Ziegler's attorneys told the Knoxville News-Sentinel, we are disappointed the court declined to grant a preliminary injunction on the basis that the NCAA does not directly control NIL compensation, just days after the House settlement confirmed they would do exactly that. They intend to press forward, and they say they're confident Ziegler will win eventually. Will West, if the NCAA can't stop players from transferring whenever and wherever, if the NCAA had to give Diego Pavia another year because they have no control of the JUCO, their JUCO rules don't apply, how did they win this one?
Well, and they've won 17 of the last 20 injunction cases, which is wild that's happened.
It's a major flip.
It is. Well, but the biggest issue is, how is immediate and irreparable harm happening to Zakai Ziegler for not being granted onto the team right now when the season doesn't start until November, right? So I think that's very difficult to prove. I also think what it's going to take, because you're right, it violates Sherman. The one thing it's going to take is someone's going to have to actually go through the trial process, and you're going to win that trial, but everyone wants the injunction. I want to play now.
So you can play now. And you can
I'm
practice
not going to get
now,
to play right now. And also, you wanted to be able to have your NIL deal done.
Sure.
So that before you got to the House settlement money, because the amount of money goes way down after that. So I think that was, what was interesting that the judge said as well was, the issue's not with playing time, but you could sue for financial
Come back,
damages.
yeah, that's right, because you're losing out on the NIL.
The issue,
you could come back later and sue for that, but getting another year is not not what this is about, not what I can handle. Yeah.
And that may be the thing that changes it. If someone says, I would have made this much money, you kept me from making this much money as a citizen of the United States of America, I'm suing you. And maybe that'll be the thing that changes things, but it will change at some point.
But it is interesting, though. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
No, my concern is, are you going to find a judge, male or female, that is going to go, you know what? You're right. new year of eligibility, and then open the door. The floodgates are open, and that person's name's in the history books as you changed college athletics as we know it today.
Well, here's the thing. Diego Pavia won his.
Right.
It is finding the right.
New Jersey judge won.
The kid at Rutgers won his.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what I don't really grasp is how the NCAA is winning any of these at some point, because it looks like, I know it's not a complete apples to apples, this is a precedent for this, slightly different state, et cetera. But you would think the way things have gone against the NCAA.
Yes.
You don't have power to do this, you don't have power to do that, you don't have power to do that. Oh, you do have power to say 4 years. You got 5 years to play 4.
Yeah.
Why is this one okay when all the others you've shot down and say they don't have the juice to tell us this anymore? I just find that fascinating. Vince, you got a thought on this thing?
I think it's just the individual judge, in their opinion. Some want to, like you said, are willing to stand out and make it a precedent. Others are like, okay, they made that ruling, like in the Diego Pavia case. I don't have to go by what they did previously. So, and there's a lot of the counterpoint from that hearing that did make some sense in the individual things they were kind of nitpicking at.
Bob, anything to add here?
I read through the ruling the best I could, and I think it was just if you go to another judge, I think things go the other way, very much potentially. I think it was just reading it the best I can as a non-lawyer. I think that was just the judge saying, I just don't want to mess with this right now. Another judge might have said, heck yeah, we're going to mess with it. So
I'm surprised when the NCAA gets a pat on the back from any of this. I wonder how much the DOJ weighing in played into the judge's thinking. That, hey, we would appreciate it if you looked at it like this.
Well, the judge did say that the NCAA is commercial and that antitrust law does apply to them as opposed to using flexible antitrust law, which is what the DOJ
still went the other way.
Still went the other way.
Did
Did
you
not
have something
grant
to
the
finish with?
injunction.
No, let's talk about Haji over here. If Will wasn't on our show, he's the one who translated all that legal jargon for us anyway, so I only know half I know because of the guy to my left.
You guys have attorneys on your show all the time. Jake Thompson with you, correct?
And guess who got him on the
There you
show?
go.
Will West. That's the
you
translator I need.
There you go. If you want a legal translator, tune into these guys. All right, when we come back, not all Vol fans are pulling for Zakai Ziegler on this one, which surprised me. Is it a sign that folks like you, as much as you love Zakai Ziegler, are ready for some normalcy? Stop challenging all the rules. Is that how I'm reading this? Am I wrong on that? Come on back. We'll discuss that on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Summer is the time to travel. Folks, you can travel worry-free with a Safety System security system protecting your home. You'll be able to keep watch over your phone, your tablet, watch your house, turn on the lights, lock doors. Let's say you have somebody that's coming over to let the dog out. All right, well, you can just hit the button when you know that, hey, I'm here. You hit a button, it unlocks the door. They let the dog out. I'm leaving. You hit the button on your phone, it locks the door back. Safety Systems can do all of this for you. VFL J.J. Surlis, you've seen him on our show many a time. Give him a call. He and his team can help take care of your home or your business. You're going to see that sign right there, that sticker, in so many business windows around East Tennessee. Why? Because Safety Systems is best. SafetySystems.com to learn more. Okay. An interesting thing I've noticed, we're going to be quick in this segment. One thing I've noticed that surprised me, usually Tennessee goes to court, an athlete goes to court, everybody rallies around the big orange flag. We hate the law, we're for our guy. There is no more popular Vol over the last 10, 15 years than Zakai Ziegler. So I've been shocked to find, whether it's a comment section on Sports Source Digital Network on YouTube, whether it's social media, the number of people who've said, love Zakai, but go ahead, leave. You've had your time. And it just struck me, it's not an anti-Zakai Ziegler thing, I don't think. I think we finally hit a point where people are like, can we have some rules? Can something stay the same? I may be wrong on that. You guys tell me if I'm misinterpreting that, but I'm trying to do the math. Why would people be saying, why would they not be 100% behind Zakai getting another year? You could certainly use him. The Athletic did a top 25 ranking the other day. Tennessee's not in it. They were in the ones receiving votes, so you could use him. You love him, we know that. Is this a matter of Look, man, can we just keep to the 4-year thing that we've always had?
Yeah.
Am I reading that wrong? Does anybody think that's what it is or no? Is
I
it
think it's
something else?
twofold. I think it's some of that. I think that people are so tired of change, and we're going to have Texas State in the Pac-12. You have, you know what I mean? Like you have Oklahoma, Texas are here. You have Nebraska, and everything's changed so much. I think people want to just stop with all the change all the time, and this would be another thing that changes. I think the other side of it too is a little bit of I want what I want and I want what I've always watched. And I kind of don't care what the law says, and I don't care about Zakai Ziegler's rights. I want to watch what I see. And I think that's a little bit of where it is selfishly, we want things to be the way that they always have been, whether
so
it's
4 years
really
is 4
terrible
years
for
and that's
Zakai and illegal or not at the end of the day.
I think what you're talking about is the big chunk of it. I also think some of it is, okay, the season ended, we rebuilt the basketball team, best it could. Maybe it's great, maybe it's not, maybe it's out of top 25. And I think people say, okay, we're set. It's June, our basketball team was where it is. I don't want to see people coming in and adding parts, taking away parts. So maybe some of it is this is their basketball team, let's see what we got.
It's okay if I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I can tell you this much, and I'm kind of diverting the question just a touch. How bad they need him this year? Can I just add this? Tennessee right now is currently 22-1 odds to win the national championship without Zakai Ziegler. They are 15-1 odds to make the Final Four. You add Zakai Ziegler back to this roster with Jacoby Gillespie moving him to the 2. Folks, Indianapolis in April, you'll be making plans to go to the Final Four. I don't know the reasoning behind fans that are saying, I just like my 4 to 5 years, whatever it is, your redshirt year, and then move on. But if there's 1 year I wish that this conversation, maybe we punt it down the road, you need Zakai if you're wanting to talk about Rick Barnes finally getting a Final Four for the University of Tennessee.
Vince, I know you saw the same thing I've seen. You've been a little bit surprised by it as well.
I saw it right away.
Yeah.
And that surprised me in the moment, but then you thought about it. I think it is part of what you're saying, but also the rule is probably going to change, but it hasn't changed yet, with the eligibility, the 5 for 5. So
July 1?
Yeah, but people were like, But Bob hit on the key point. I think the roster had been largely remade, and then you're going to add Zakai Ziegler. If they struck out in the portal, then I think people might have given in on that topic a little bit. But I do think overall people are kind of sick of just so many things so many of these rules that they knew about kind of being blown up.
Everything changes every minute, and I do think everything is just okay. Let's settle something. Okay, we got a basketball team. Let's do this. I think football. If you could get a better quarterback to come into UT in August, okay, it might help your football team. Yeah. But would people really want to see another thing change right as your season's getting ready to start?
Do you notice how many scholarships Tennessee basketball has left?
Unless it grows.
Unless it goes to 15.
As of this moment right now?
Yeah, it's. I was just surprised that of all the players, if you told me it was going to be this guy, I figured everybody would go to war for him. And I don't think, again, I'm not seeing anybody saying, get out of here, we're sick of it. It's not that. It's most of these people are saying, we love Zakai, but.
I'm fatigued with the change.
When we say Vol for life, we don't mean you play for life. But that one stood out to me as a surprising reaction, because usually people rally around UT or their players no matter what.
I think he was here on this show, or maybe you and I had a conversation off the air. If there's anybody who right now you would talk about potentially having their number put back up in the ceiling at Food City Center, him and Lofton 5-5 is a pretty darn good chance of how much his community loves this man, and it's surprising to me to read your comment section and read our text line.
Yeah, that's surprising. All right, when we come back, UT baseball and softball teams are seeing players hit the transfer portal. It's got one UT coach hopping mad. We'll show you her tweet. Tell you what she's tweeting about next. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. Football season right around the corner, and that'll mean a whole lot more time in front of your TV. Get your home ready with new home theater seats from Games and Things. Nobody in East Tennessee carries a bigger selection at better prices than Games and Things. Bought my last pair of home theater seats there a decade ago, and I have loved them. About time for some new ones. That means a trip to Games and Things. OurGameRoom.com. If you can't make it to their showroom, the corner of Kingston Pike and Lovell Road. All right. This is, as of last night, the number of Tennessee baseball players in the portal, 7 that I had seen, 4 pitchers. No real surprises there, I don't think. So you got 7 in the portal. Now, you're also in the mix for all kinds of transfer portal guys coming back here. Tony Vitello has always done a good job in the portal bringing guys in, so you're going to get some back. But I put up the baseball just so we're showing both sides of it. Here's what made news with softball over the last couple of days. You had Taylor Pannell, star for the Lady Vols softball team, really their best hitter, All-American, who has gone to Texas Tech. We talked about Texas Tech and softball last week and the amount of money they throw into that program because that is a sport where you only need 1 or 2 players. Well, they offered her a huge chunk of cash, so she is now a Red Raider. And Karen Weekly went to Twitter and she said, I think we can all agree on 2 things. 1, women making money in sports is awesome and long overdue. 2, contacting players directly or indirectly before their season ends and signing them to NIL deals before they enter the portal is wrong. Money isn't the issue, tampering is. Reactions.
Those girls at Boise State that are getting brought in, they were in the portal before Tennessee ever made an indirect
I don't know what you're talking
contact. Did that happen? The 4 quarterbacks Tennessee made contact with and tried to tamper with to get to leave and come here and replace Nico?
That's different.
That happened. I will say, Karen, I believe Karen is a true believer in amateur athletics. I think she is. She's been in it forever. But literally everybody's tampering all the time, including Tennessee. Right. Everyone is. I think she's just upset that she lost maybe her second best player. But that girl got life-changing money, and we would all tell her to leave. Everyone would tell her, you're making the right decision leaving, I believe.
I've never lived anywhere but Knoxville. But for that kind of money, I would leave.
Yeah.
Well, it better be, it needs to be 7 figures for me to consider it life-changing.
Not just high 6?
No, because you could blow through that.
But if you're 22?
If you get $1 million, you get $1 million bucks. $1 million, you can put that in the bank and you can coax that. 800,000?
I'll tell you right
Somebody
now.
want to try me, they can try me.
You guys didn't ask for a geography test, but before I came back to Knoxville, Big 10 and Big 12, that was what I used to cover. I've been to Lubbock, Texas. Taylor, I hope you received a lot of money. I hope you received a lot of money. It's fine.
See, here's the thing. Everybody gets ticked off in Knoxville when people say things like that about here.
Okay.
I saw your buddy at 990, the voice of the Lady Vols, Brian Rice, tweet something like that, and it bothered me.
What I'm saying,
it bugged me. I like Brian, but it bugged me. I was like,
you didn't. All I'm saying is this:
Lubbock sucks. Go
no,
ahead.
all I said was I walked in one day to a hotel to cover a Texas Tech Iowa State game, and the woman at the hotel said, "Sir, what would you like to do tonight? The stop sign's right here. You can either go to a big box brand Walmart, or you can go to the Applebee's. Enjoy the rest of your stay." So I hope she likes chain restaurants and Walmarts. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't want to hear anybody complain when Ohio State people make fun of Knoxville.
I'm not, because Knoxville's awesome.
Right,
awesome.
yeah.
I'm not trying to hope
we don't have any strip malls here.
World-class
dining. That's right.
All I'm trying to say,
dining.
I would say the same thing about Manhattan, Kansas, and Ames, Iowa. I love all 3 of those.
Well,
places.
I like
honestly,
Knoxville. I
didn't
choose to live here, but
I forgot it was in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah.
I thought
Anyway,
it was Lukenbach, Texas.
Thoughts on Karen Weekly? I agree with Will. Coaches crying about tampering. Come on, I think we all do this. Whoever loses the player says the other guy tampered, or other gal or whatever. Whenever I say guy, I have to say guy and lady. There's a person who always emails to say you're sexist if you say guy and gal. I'm like, as a matter of fact, let me ask the audience. Let me know. Guy is the accepted kind of nickname for men. Mm-hmm. What is it for women? Because if I say guys and dolls, I'll get emails. If I say guys and gals, guys and broads, guys and dames, I can't win. And I'm not going to say guys and gentlewomen. So sometimes I'm not going to say men. So I'm just going to say guys. So if I say guys and gals, save the emails. I don't know what your politically correct. Yeah, that should be. When the website's fixed, I'll do that.
The timing of it obviously, it triggered her because she went in the portal and then the announcements was right there. Sometimes at least it's separated to where it could possibly look like something else. And look, Texas Tech is doing this in all sports. In football, they are throwing massive amounts of money in football. So this is a university thing that they are a major player.
Well, and it's working. I mean, we're talking about him here and how terrible Lubbock is.
Najee Kennedy, $1 million. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to send you to Lubbock, Texas for a week on
I'm
my
not,
dime,
I'm not
and you're
arguing.
telling
I
me.
just
I hear
everybody
what you're
does
saying.
that.
You're gonna be on a college
Everybody
camp.
does that.
Okay, I'm telling you right now, I'm not playing the homer card. I've just been to Lubbock,
low-hanging
Texas.
fruit.
I've opened up my hotel window and went, there's a tumbleweed. What am I going to do for the next 16 hours in Lubbock, Texas?
She's Gen Z. She's just eating the chicken tenders anyway. It's fine.
$800,000 worth of chicken tenders.
Allegedly $800,000.
All right. When we come back, 2024-25 was a great year for Tennessee athletics, or was it? We'll debate how folks are looking at last year's success on the field and on the courts. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. We've got plenty of content. No homer stuff. No homer stuff on this stuff. Just good, honest content. Saturday kickoff. You can watch that every Saturday right here at 11 a.m. On WATE TV 6. And you can also see the Sports Source Digital Network. It's a free channel on YouTube, and we've got nearly 300 videos up there at this point. As I said earlier, more than 500,000 views. Thanks to you. You have made that channel. I appreciate it, and all the people here have been on there at one time or another, and I'll drag them back again. Check it out, Sports Source Digital Network at YouTube. Heck of a year for UT Athletics, especially the Big Five programs. Football made the college football playoff, finished third. You're like, finished third in a 16-team SEC. Nothing to cry about there. Men's basketball reached its second straight Elite Eight. Women's basketball back to the Sweet 16. Tennessee baseball became the first defending national champion in 5 years to reach the Super Regionals. Made it all the way back to the Super Regionals this year. And softball, who we just finished talking about, made the College World Series for Karen Weekly. It's her 9th trip.
Semifinals.
That's semifinals. That is a good year. By most folks' view. There are some out there who would say, Danny White's not winning any championships. We're not about second place and third place. We're about championships. I know because I've seen these things. Now, is that 2% of the population? Is that 50% of the fan base? Is that the majority of the fan base?
Minority.
I think most look at this and say, what a great year.
And I think the farther away you get from these seasons, the better it looks. I mean, in the immediacy of you losing an Elite Eight basketball game, it's tragic and it's horrible. Okay, you went to the Elite Eight 2 years in a row. Same thing with college football playoff. So I think it will look better as time goes on.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's also tough to realize you're in the good old days while you're in the good old days. So I think that happens a lot of times. And I do think you have a vocal minority of 10 to 15% that will complain if you gave them free money and hot dogs.
Bingo.
But
Go back to
that's part of
1998.
it.
Go back to
And it's
1998. You
everywhere.
win a national championship, and the next week on the radio, people
Yep.
are complaining about recruiting.
Yes.
So yes, I mean, I think that's exactly
smart.
right.
Your programs here at the University of Tennessee are relevant September through June. What else do you want? 10 months of excitement. I think it's excellent. I think everybody else needs to.
And
get
you're
a
not in
life.
Lubbock.
And you're not in Lubbock, Texas.
They're relevant 12 months because everything
True.
is becoming all season with the transfer portal and everything. Yeah, there's some that are only going to be happy complaining, but it's the football mentality being applied to all the other sports. So you kind of lose out on the full big picture success. And right now, people have been reminiscing on Tennessee's baseball national championship and how much they're cherishing that and how much it means to win it. But until it happens in football, some are not going to convert.
Yeah.
I think it's reminiscing. They haven't even crowned the new guy yet.
11 months ago.
But yeah, it's amazing the number of people who I saw saying that this team didn't have the fire this year. They fat and happy. But I mean, here's the thing: I feel sorry for those people who do say, "Well, I don't see any titles. I don't see any championships here." Obviously, that's the goal. But if you just had college football playoff, Elite Eight men's basketball, Sweet 16 women's basketball, Super Regional men's baseball, or just baseball, and then College World Series softball, and you didn't enjoy that, why are you a fan?
Yes, exactly.
Why are you turning it? Look,
wake
man,
up
there's other stuff to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, go fishing, go to Lubbock, Texas, and watch the tumbleweeds. There's stuff to do. If that makes you mad, if that's a disappointment, if that earns Danny White some sort of rebuke online, then man, you are just a miserable person. You need to
Take
find something else.
championships out of it. Was this the best year for Tennessee athletics in the school's history?
I think, well, the best
We
2
could have
years because
discussion.
you had the
Last
same.
year, I
You had
was gonna
success
say.
last year with the
And you
baseball
did have a
championship.
championship
Your
last
women's
year.
basketball wasn't quite as good. You went
Yep.
32 round of 32
Yeah.
the year before.
Also, basketball made the Elite Eight.
Yeah, you didn't
So,
make the College World Series in softball.
So you're right.
these
With
two
football,
best 2
yeah.
years. Bet you it's the best 2 year span.
Yep.
I bet
I'll
there's
give
no
you
way
that.
to debate that.
Yep.
So remarkable. It's really quite incredible. Thanks to all of these guys, Vince, Tyler, Will, Bob. I want to tell you again, we've got the Sports Source Digital Network. Check that out. Tyler, you've got action. That was supposed to go up last night. It's going up today.
Future odds.
Oh,
lot of
we
sprinkling.
Talk a lot about the best futures bets across the SEC and for Tennessee. That'll be up there today. We now put this show, if you're ever out of town, you want to see the show, it used to go up on our old YouTube channel. Now it goes up on the Sports Source Digital Network. The sportsource.tv website is becoming ssdn.tv, Sports Source Digital Network. You'll be able to find this show. All the shows from the Sports Source Digital Network will be there, and eventually we'll be able to do poll questions again. That should have worked today, but it didn't. I apologize. We'll get that fixed. And before we get out of here, I just wanted to send along get well wishes to my cousin Brooke, who was in a very, very bad accident a couple of weeks ago and been through a lot. And she is really showing everyone in our family what toughness is. So everyone in the family loves her and is wishing her the best as she fights to get back on her feet, literally. Brooke, we're thinking of you. And I will see all of you next week right back here on the Sports Source. See you then.